So those of you who've been hanging around my channel, you'll know that I don't endorse products by and large. I think I may have done one in one of my previous videos, but I do want to talk about this product FrogLube and how it's worked on my weapons, and then the process for which with you use it. Now, don't tell me you don't have one of these in on your cleaning table, because I know you do. But that is one of the unique things about applying this product when you do your initial applications, is the fact that you use a blow dryer. So we'll get into that a little bit. But FrogLube, I'm not exactly sure how I got introduced to this, to be honest with you. It comes in a liquid form. It also comes in a paste form. I use both of them, and we'll again demonstrate how that happens. But this was developed by a former Navy SEAL. And you may know the story. If you don't, listen. If you do, you can maybe skip ahead. But former Navy SEAL, and used this primarily wanted to introduce it to the military for people who are in life and death situations and have to count on their hardware working each and every time. And specifically AR-15s and battlefield equipment that gets really gunked up, whether it be in the desert, whether it be muddy situations, seals wet obviously, and wanted something that would work all the time and keep weapons clean, keep them lubricated and protected. And therefore he came up with this this solution, which is really, really different than everything else. Again, from my historical standpoint, I've used Hoppes since I was 12 years old. And have used Ballistol. Those have been the two basic weapons in my arsenal of cleaning equipment. And I don't change brands, and I don't jump to the newest thing easily at all. And so I've done a lot of testing with this product prior to doing this video, and felt strongly enough about it that I wanted to do this video. I want to be really clear. I am not being paid by, I am not endorsing the FrogLube product. There's nothing in this for me other than that I just want to pass this information along to you, and you do what you see fit with it. So what is FrogLube? It's a product that is eco-friendly, and when I say that, I'm talking about it's made out of plant material. I think it's like 27 plants or something. It comes in two forms. It comes in a paste form, which has got a little consistency to it, slippery, and use a brush to apply it. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And then the liquid form, and this is what I use to clean out the insides of barrels and hard to reach places. So both the same product, just two different forms of it. But I had this whole problem with how can it be eco-friendly, and I'll tell you what I mean by that in a minute, because it's not just tree hugging stuff. Actually, I'll tell you about it now, as long as we're there. Yeah, it is good for the environment. It's all plant-based. It's all made, it comes from plants grown here in the USA. It's all produced here in the USA. That's a good thing. But eco-friendly in terms of, you don't have that solvent smell. You don't have the, and I like hops. I love the smell of that. You get used to it over the years, but you have to ventilate, or you should. I've certainly lost my fair share of brain cells, which lots of people that live with me and know me will attest to, through the solvents. Even Ballistol, which is greener, has actually a pretty horrible smell that you do end up getting used to over time, but people around you don't necessarily. This stuff is, it can be on your hands, it can be on, virtually any material, because it is a plant-based product. So there's no, no petroleum products in it. There's nothing in it that's going to harm the environment or harm you. It's actually got kind of a spearmint smell to it. So it actually smells kind of good, and you don't have to worry about, your animals, your pets, kids getting into it, anything like that. You shouldn't eat it in spoonfuls. I have heard that sometimes for the demos, they'll put a little bit of it on their lips as a lip balm, just to show you that it is all FDA plant grade, food grade plant material. So again, for me, it begs the question, how on earth can this stuff even really work? So I thought, okay, I'm going to test it, and I'm going to test it thoroughly, and I'm going to see what I think of it before I say anything about it. So I like it. I like it a lot. I've switched to it. I'm not using anything else right now, and it's because it works, and it works really, really well. So we're going to go through the application process. We're going to go through what you clean, what you don't clean, the different applications that you can use to get it onto the weapon. There is a treating process up front. We'll go through that. And then, we'll kind of answer questions as we go along. So we're going to start with the treating process, which is largely a two-step process. We'll start with that. Now, the whole idea behind this product is that you're supposed to be able to do two applications, which we're going to show you here in a minute, which are rather labor intensive. It takes some time. You do 2 initial applications of the product on the firearm, all the metal parts. You can also get it on the polymer parts. It doesn't matter. Again, it's very green. What I like about it is when it's on your hands, it's actually kind of like a little hand lotion. You can actually rub it in, which I do. So it's just overall a cleaner experience. You know, you're not being careful with solvents. You're not worried about wearing gloves, anything like that. You just, in fact, I use my hands in some cases to apply the product. But we're going to do it on a firearm that needs an application, needs an initial application. And then I've got other firearms that we're going to talk about a little later on. These have been treated twice, both the Springfield XDM as well as the Beretta PX4 Storm, and they've been shot. And so these are dirty, and the idea is that once you've done these initial applications, you're supposed to be able to basically just wipe these down, and everything should just fall out of it. My experience is it does, but I want to show you that a little bit. And then also just wanted to talk a little bit about what I did with the Ruger. This is an all-metal gun, and so I actually detailed stripped this and treated all of it twice. It doesn't need a cleaning, but as I've cleaned it, this stuff does work. It literally just wipes away after you do the initial treatments. And then we'll talk a little bit later about what it does and doesn't do in my experience for revolvers. Actually, we're here. We'll talk about it now. That's twice. What it doesn't do for revolvers, you do your initial 2 treatments and you use heat to do that. We'll get into that. But what it didn't remove, it did a great job of removing the grime. You know, I shot it, wiped it out. For me, it did not do a great job of getting rid of the burn rings in here. And I had to take my, my cloth and go in there and wipe that off. And actually, it's not even all that great. But it didn't do a really good job on getting rid of the burn marks. Now, other people have said it does. So maybe I'll give it a little more time to season. This product does act like a seasoning agent, like you'd season a frying pan. And see if maybe it doesn't pick that up a little later. But now, as promised, let's actually get into the process of cleaning the pistol. So everything's been safety checked, but you know, we'll drop the magazine, check the chamber, everything is good, and so now we're going to start taking the pistol apart. Now, what FrogLube recommends is that during the initial, the first time that you treat it, that you wipe everything down with alcohol. First, you just take a little alcohol swab and just kind of wipe everything down real quickly and let it evaporate. And that's to get rid of the petroleum products that you've been using. It's to get those off of there. Very quick process. I'm not going to go through it now. I've done that already with this pistol. When you do the initial applications, you use heat. And you can use, they say you can set it in the sun for 5 or 10 minutes if you want, or you can use a heat gun, or what everybody has on their cleaning bench, a hairdryer. And this one works great for me. You get it warm to the touch. It doesn't have to be searingly hot. I tend to maybe make it a little too hot. But you heat your product up and then you start slathering it on, and that's how you do your initial application. So crank up your hairdryer and heat it up. And so once we've got it heated up, I'll have to tell you a little story about how that went, because we do use some studio lights here. And they suck some power, so as soon as we flipped on the dryer there, hair dryer there, glad we got the shot we did, because all of a sudden we didn't have any power left anymore. But you can see what I'm doing here. You literally just take the brush, get some on it, and apply it liberally all over the firearm. And I mean all over. The only thing I don't do is I don't just take the slide apart. I don't detail strip the slide, and I don't go down into the channels, into the firing pin channel or anything with this. Because what happens is as you're firing and it heats up, the way it, some of its lubrication properties are that it starts to sweat back out of the metal. And I don't want any goo, if you will, inside that firing pin channel. So, but everywhere else, baby, just slather this stuff on. You can see it's basically melting on contact. So as we put it on there, you see it just melts. And again, because we're doing the initial application, you just want to get everything nice and lubed up and get all the metal surfaces. And then again, if you get on anything else, you know, you don't really have to worry about it. The barrel, we've got that all heated up now. We always have to shut the lights off now to run the hairdryer, so you don't have to listen to that anymore. But I just take the liquid version and just apply it liberally. Just pour it down the barrel and plug it with your finger first. But notice this, look at this. What am I doing? Oh, I'm just slathering the stuff on with my fingers. You know, it's just no problem for your hands, which is really, really a nice touch. But But yeah, I use the liquid. Again, both the liquid and the paste are the same form factor. And so I just kind of roll this stuff around in there. This is a clean firearm that we started with, and we got rid of all the petroleum products with the alcohol. So, I'm not scrubbing out the bore or anything at this point. I'm just treating it because the bore is already clean. But one thing that I have really noticed as I've started working through these firearms, and again, I'm not worried about getting this stuff on the polymer. It just wipes off. It doesn't hurt it or do it any good because it's just a plant-based type product. But one of the things I've noticed is even though, and I like to think that I do a good job of cleaning my weapons. I really do. I take a lot of pride in it. I keep them clean. I detail strip them. I do the whole thing. And one of the things I first noticed is as I was doing my initial treating, and this is what you do when you initially treat it, you just apply it on there, and then you let the pieces sit for about an hour. They say half an hour to an hour to just let it soak in. You're heating these things up so that you can expand the pores of the metal, you can expand the pores of the coatings that are on there and allow this to seep in. And again, that's that seasoning portion of it. And so even as I was doing that, and then you go to wipe it down afterwards on a cleaned weapon, I was surprised at how much additional stuff came off. So that was my first indicator of A, I'm a lousy gun cleaner, or B, which I really doubt, and I'm not telling you that I'm any better than anybody else, that I'm great, or, but I keep them clean. Or B, it's working. It's getting stuff off of there that other products weren't getting off of there. And it's probably a little of both. Back to the brush up here and start brushing the product on. Now, I haven't heated this up. Now, you don't have to, okay? You can apply it just like this if you want to. You can also apply it to a dirty handgun or a dirty rifle. I did that for the testing. So in my testing of this product, I did this type of treatment where I didn't use any heat. I did this type of treatment on pistols that were dirty, had no cleaning done to them at all. I had fired hundreds of rounds through them. It just takes a little longer to treat because it's got to work its way through the garbage, the carbon and all the petroleum products that you've already got in there. And then, you can obviously, like I say, I've also detailed stripped these and gone down in and gotten them. But this is just kind of just to show you how the application process goes. But once you've done all this, you let it sit for half an hour to an hour so that it soaks in and cleans. And then all you do is wipe it down, and we'll show you how that works. All right, so we've done the application process now in the Walther PPQ. And so we're going to let it sit for an hour and let it soak in just like you're supposed to. So now what I've done is, here is a pistol. This is my wife's XDM, and this pistol's been treated twice and has been to the range and fired in between each treating, by the way. And the idea is that you're supposed to be able to just disassemble it and wipe it down now. So I'm going to show you how easy that is and how much stuff just comes off when you do that. So you just start wiping everything down, and the first thing I noticed is not a lot sticks to it. Okay, there's some stuff coming off, but not a lot. And what does just literally wipes right off. Now, in the past, have I used, have I been able to just wipe my pistols off and have stuff come off of them? You bet, I sure have. But what I can tell you is the volume of stuff that comes off here gets to be less and less as time goes on, and it just wipes very cleanly. There's no scrubbing, there's no anything. It just, here's the feed ramp. Okay, and there you go. That's clean. That's absolutely clean. It self-lubricates, so as the gun gets hot, we talked about it before, the metal starts to sweat and lubricates everything that's in there, and it'll continue to do that. So after a number of firings and cleanings over time, you'll want to come back and retreat it, which is a little labor intensive, there's no doubt about it, but you make up for it in how easy it is to clean in between those treatments. This stuff is literally just wiping off, and it's clean. I mean, there is no doubt that that is clean, and that's just using a rag. So I'm really, really impressed with this product and how well it works. And I've used it long enough as well that I can tell you, I had some concerns about wear. It's like, is it really lubricating? Sure, it cleans stuff off, and after the initial applications, you're supposed to put it together dry and just run it that way. I'm used to putting a drop of oil on there or a little Ballistol on there or something, so I was pretty nervous about just running it dry. What's really cool about this too is this towel, when you're all done with it, you throw it in the washing machine, and because you're wiping it off, with with the product being involved, and it's a green product, put it in the washing machine, it just washes right clean. You know, the other thing that I've noticed in using this product is triggers smooth out. And, you know, all pistols have different types of trigger feels, but I'm really impressed with how smooth triggers become as you start using this product more and more. One of the things they recommend is, you know, if you've got a snake at the range, if you've got a boar snake, just tear it down right away and pour some of this onto your boar snake and run it right down there. I think that's a great idea. I just don't, but I think if I were doing outdoor stuff or whatever, it would just be more conducive to doing that. I think it makes a lot of sense because the hotter it is, the more it absorbs, the better it works, kind of thing. And it'll work in all temperatures, but it works better the hotter it gets. One of the things I did notice very specifically when I first started using this, the initial fouling on this, and I don't know if you're going to be able to see anything here at all, but the barrel fouling is significantly reduced. It doesn't seem to hang on to bad stuff the way that typically it would. So again, I think that's back to the lubricity process, and if that's even a word. But it's the whole idea of it, the stuff just falling out of it and not sticking to it. Supposedly there's a film that comes up from the heating, it sweats out and creates basically a suspension for all those particles that then just wipe off or slip off or fall off. And I did notice right away there was significantly less barrel fouling after I started using this product. Okay, so we've let these components soak for a good hour or so. And so now we're going to reassemble. Well, we're going to wipe it down and then we're going to reassemble it and show you how that works. Get your towel and just start wiping all the components down. You know, it's got a real slick feel to it. And as you start, you know, you can see again, these are clean firearms. It's not real dirty, but you know, you're getting a little stuff off of here. And so you all know how to wipe down a slide, and you all know how to wipe down a gun, and that's all you're, see, I'm not left-handed, but my brother wishes I were because it would make the camera angles a lot easier. Oh, now he thinks of that. Yeah, okay. So we come over to this side where the light isn't as good, but that's all right. Don't worry about it. So now you got to swab the bore, and I just, you know, I take a patch and a brush, and again, just run her down there. And you can see, you know, there's still some goo there that hadn't even really dried, which is fine. And that's just the excess that you're wiping off in there. And just run them through until they, you know, come out more or less dry, and you've, you know, treated the inside of the barrel. Yeah, see, not getting too much out of the barrel in defense of my gun cleaning techniques. So that's ready to go. Same thing here. Wipe this all down. I've seen some videos that have been done on FrogLube where people just, especially like on ARs, they will just slather it all over the bolt assembly. They'll just run it right down the barrel, and they'll just do kind of a quick little cleanup on it. But that's all they do, and then they just run it, and they run it hard. It's got a really slick feel to it, and you know, so there's where you're at on your initial application, and take it out to the range, fire it, and then come back and do your second application again with using the heat gun and all of that, which again is a little labor intensive when you first get going, but then, you know, you've seen how easily they just wipe down from then on. So I'm a real believer in this stuff. So we'll just put this together, back together real quickly. So that's it. I like FrogLube a lot, as I'm sure the video has told you, but fitness for use, very easy to use, very environmentally friendly. You don't have to worry about your kids and your pets, as we've mentioned before. No, you know, horrible smells that you've got to worry about killing brain cells or anything like that. So it's really nice to use. And then the fact that it actually does what it says it does, you know, obviously that's why we're doing it, right? I also go ahead and I put it on the magazines, pull the magazines apart, do them inside and out, and it definitely adds to the drop. There's no doubt about it that it's smoother, slicker, faster, similar to what we talked about in the triggers. So if you're doing like competitive shooting, you know, you definitely get a free drop when you use this stuff, and you can use it on virtually anything. So you don't have to worry about, oh, can I put it on this part or that part? The only exception that I mentioned before is I do not put it on the inside channels of my slides. because I don't want that ever getting wet and gooey and attracting stuff. But aside from that, I put it on everything else. So there you have it. I think it's a great product. I'm using it like crazy, and I think it's such a good product that I decided to share it with you. And like I say, I'm not compensated for this. I'm only doing this because I like to share good experiences with the rest of the gun community and with good people like you. And hopefully you found this to be, if nothing else, maybe a little entertaining and a little educational. So this is Crucible Arms signing off. Thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you next time.